Hi, it's Mark Bosser, producer of the Pawlik Automotive podcast and video series. And of course, we're here with Mr. Bernie Pawlik, Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver, and 20-time winners of Best Auto Repair in Vancouver as voted by their customers. How you doing this morning, Bernie?
Doing very well.
So this week's victim is a 2003 Ford F350 that had an AC problem. What was going on with this vehicle?
So the air conditioning wasn't functioning properly. It wasn't blowing cold air. And the owner had thought, well, I could just get the system recharged, taking it to another shop, and they told him this AC compressor was cracked. They couldn't do the service and called us to replace his compressor.
So what kind of diagnosis and test did you do to find the problem?
Well, for this one, we just started with a complimentary visual inspection. We noted a couple of things. First of all, it didn't seem like the compressor was so much of an issue. There wasn't anything really noticeably leaking from it that we could see, but there was a very large leak coming from from one of the air conditioning hoses, the discharge hose that comes off the air conditioning compressor and goes to the condenser. And that was a very obvious visual clue that there was a leak, major leak coming from this area, and that would be the first place to start the repair.
So would you normally just do a thorough test of the AC system?
Well, we normally do a diagnostic, and in this case, because of the circumstances of the vehicle coming to us and the obviousness of the leak, this was really the first thing to fix on the vehicle before we even proceeded with any further diagnosis, because whatever else we'd find, and we did do a visual inspection of the rest of it, didn't see anything else noticeable. This was the first place to start. No sense in changing the compressor if it wasn't really that noticeably bad. So this is where we started. I'm gonna get right into a picture because it's really it's really very noticeable. Anyways, this is our Ford F350 truck. I only got the front end of the truck because that has a big camper on the back. So it's a 6-liter diesel, early, first model year of a 6-liter diesel. This is our hose assembly. So here we are looking at in the passenger side compartment of the hood. This is called the discharge hose. You can see when you look at it, there's a lot of oil around here. It's very oily, and there's a greenish color to it. In the past, someone has put UV dye into this system. This is a very common tool that we use to find air conditioning leaks. Some vehicles actually have the dye right from the factory. Other times I say we as service people actually add the dye into the system. And what happens is, if there's even a trace amount of leakage that comes out, we can spot this with a UV light and glasses. It'll glow a bright greenish yellow. But this leak is so severe, and usually with severe leaks, you can actually see the green tint of this leak right here. So this is a hose. It's a high pressure hose, and eventually the sort of crimped fitting here that breaks down and it'll start leaking refrigerant. So this is a hose assembly. This section here bolts up to the compressor. This hose is called the suction hose. It basically it's on the suction side of the compressor. It's also interesting with air conditioning. You see two different diameters of hoses. There's a low side system and a high side. You don't tell the high side because it has very narrow diameter hoses. It's higher pressure. The low side has thicker hoses. So there's our picture show for the day.
So how, I guess the UV kind of leads us down the path of how tricky are AC leaks to find.
Well, they can be really tricky, and one reason I wanted to do this podcast is just this is a good news story. This is an easy one to find. We don't always get so lucky. I'll just take an example. I own a 2001 Suburban. It has rear air conditioning as well, so it has an array of pipes that run from the front of the vehicle right to the very back with air conditioning. With the air conditioning pipes. I've had a leak for a couple of years, and slowly over time it leaks out. And I have actually over the years I've had leaks, but sometimes it'll last for several. It's lasted for a few years before it needed to be recharged. I've looked over and over and over with all the tools and equipment we have, and I've still not been able to find the leak in that system. So the tricky thing with air conditioning is there's a lot of hidden components. There are pipes that are hidden. There are the condenser, for instance, which is like a radiator in the front. It has a front side that you can often see, but the back side you can't see. So there can be a leak coming from the back side. If it's a small leak, you'll never see it. The evaporator core, which is what causes the cool air to be dispersed into the vehicle, is like a type of radiator, but it's hidden inside a box, and often it takes many hours to remove it. So there are no real easy ways to see those kind of leaks. we have a numerous ways and tools to find such leaks, though. And one of the pieces of equipment we have is a refrigerant detector. It's an electronic detector. It has a little probe on it, and you go around the system and you point it at different areas. And if there's a substantial leak, I'd say not even a minor leak, it'll pick up a refrigerant molecule and makes a beeping sound. The thing I hate about this tool is it'll do false alarms quite often, and it's unless there's a really noticeable leak, like this hose would have caused it to beep for sure. But it can be it's not as good of a tool as I'd like it to be in terms of finding leaks, especially in hidden spots. I mean, they always claim, the manufacturers always claim, oh, this will find one molecule in a million molecules of air. But I don't know, for some reason they all seem to be elusive. So the visual is often the best. We also use high pressure nitrogen gas, and what we can do is charge the system up with high pressure gas. We can use the refrigerant detector as well with that, but we can also listen for hissing sounds. We can also spray tire type of items. We might find a leak for tires where it causes bubbles. So that's, again, another technique. So there's a variety of things we do, but unfortunately with air conditioning leaks, sometimes we don't quite, it takes a while to find the leak, and it can be hit and miss. You can fix one, and then, a month or 2 or 6 months or a year later, the refrigerant's leaked out and there's another leak somewhere else. So it can be frustrating. I think hopefully in the case of this Ford, this is the only one because it was very obvious.
And so how was the AC on the Ford truck after you did the repair?
Yeah, it was awesome. So we, put the hose on. We have a machine that does a vacuum on the system. So you basically put it into a deep vacuum for about 30 minutes and then retest and make sure it holds a vacuum. So it did do that. Now, that's never a foolproof guarantee that the system is good, but if it fails to vacuum, that's usually a sign that you still have a further leak. So past the vacuum test, we recharged it. It's blowing nice cold air, and hopefully will remain so.
So there you go. If you're looking for repairs for your air conditioning and heating system as we move into winter now in Vancouver, the guys to see are Pawlik Automotive. You can reach them at 604-327-7112 to book your appointment. You have to call and book ahead. They're busy. Check out the website, pawlikautomotive.com. Many years and hundreds of postings on there on all makes and models of repairs and types of repairs. As well, our YouTube channel, Pawlik Auto Repair. Again, over 350 videos on there about repairs to all makes and models of cars and trucks. And of course, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. We appreciate it and look forward to the next one coming up. Thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Mark. And thank you for watching and listening.